Welcome back into the show. This is Pacific Breakfast with me, Tawid Iliel from Mayava. Good morning to you. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Even if it's raining, drizzle, or get a bit crazy wherever you are, just look outside and say, well, I guess that's what sun looks like in my part of the world at around this time of the day. Whatever you're doing, well, look, I hope you've been enjoying the music and the many different updates from around the Pacifica. Ma'au is a family business centered on raising children who have strong knowledge of their Pacific heritage and strong sense of pride in their cultural identity through a series of books it authors and provides. The founders of Ma'au created these books as a simple tool to support their children in learning their Pacific languages. They now share these books in the hope that they will support other families in doing the same. The Turanganuia Kiwa or Gisborne-based Sanerivi family is made up of Mom Deborah, who's the boss, Dad Oka, their three beautiful children, Aniva, Langimalie, and Manaya. Together, they are the engine behind Ma'au, and together, well, they are the Sanerivis. Apparently, the story goes that Oka chased this Palangi girl from uni right up to Hamilton, where she was studying to be a primary school teacher. Now, he thought, like most of the islanders did at the time, that she was rich. But they soon learned out that their bank account have the same name, which means just over broke. Anyway, they went on to get married. Deborah is a New Zealand European primary school teacher and also the stay-at-home parent who grew up in Wairoa in the Hawke's Bay. Oka is of Samoan and Tongan heritage and grew up in Bitone, Wellington. He is a physiotherapist with a special interest in pediatrics. I just said a lot of words. I don't know what they mean. Following Aniva's arrival in 2016, knowing how pivotal language is to culture, Deborah, that's right, Deborah, the Palangi, began a journey of learning the Samoan language. Oh, Moana, nice stories. This journey led them to the creation of books as learning tools for Deborah and the kids. Deborah and Oka hope that the books they create will support families like theirs in celebrating their Pacific languages in the home, wherever home may be. They join us now on the show. Talvatu Maloe Lau Male. Kia ora, Deborah and Oka, and welcome to the program.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you. Alo lava lo fionga toili te nane le o whaafonga le Pacific Media Network.
Great, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look, let's start with Deborah because I always start with bosses first, and then I work my way down from there. Just to make sure we pay due. Deborah, let me ask you a question. What compelling reasons and how much did Oka pay you that made you set sail on learning Samoan to start with?
Good question. It started with my sister, to be honest. A conversation with my sister, and I'd had our little girl, and my sister said, when are you going to learn the Samoan language? And I said, I'm not planning on it. And she said, well, Oka's going to speak to your kids in Samoan, and it's who they are. It's really important that you do that. And she actually wrote a whole bunch of name cards for me and of words and posted them around the house. And that's how it started. And I said to Oka, I was like, oh, my sister thinks I should learn the language. And he was like, yeah, you really should. So that was how it started.
So that's the radio version, right? So I'm going to give you a Samoan language test, okay? I want you to listen really carefully just to make sure whoever you paid for that class did good by your money, eh? Because you know what we do when we see Palangi, we say, hey, show me the money, eh? All right. Let's say you're at the shop. I'm going to give you 3 ingredients to see if you can tell me what they are. I'm at the shop, and there's a shopkeeper, and I say, hello, Lua Coca-Cola, Tashi Pangipopo, Male Kaupoe. Lua Coca-Cola, Tashi Pangipopo, Male Kaupoe. Deborah, take it away. What did I just order?
2 Coca-Colas. What was that?
Tashi Pangipopo.
I wasn't listening to the third one.
Oh, that's the best one, the third one.
Wasn't listening.
Come on, Oka, help her out.
One cowboy.
Just to clarify, my
Mm.
Samoan is that of a preschooler.
Well,
Haven't reached cowboy status.
not yet,
all
not yet
right.
up to cowboys.
And let me just tell you that my English are at very beginner level. So if I fall out, kere forgive, says the Fijian. Eh? Oka, let's cross over to you, brother. You are of Tongan Samoan descent. Tell us a little bit more about your whakapapa.
Yes, Dad is from Mataututa, Lefanga, and Fusi, Safoturafai, in Savai. Mum is from Pateho, in Tonga, and she has some family in Little Mwega in Samoa. But they migrated over to look after a church in Tony, Wellington, which is where I was raised with my siblings, and those old ladies and old men, they raised us really. And so we grew up around Yanganu'u, the language, and when you're in that upbringing, you understand the value of culture and our children.
That's good. Now, here's my question to you. Now, obviously, being a person of the Moana, I always try and avoid using these words Pacific and Polynesia, because we always say we're trying to decolonize, but yet we refer to the simplest form of ourselves using a Palangi word. Nah, man, I'm not a Polynesian. I'm a Pacific. But that's still a Palangi word. How about we go back to its originality? Whanau Moana. Now, for you, how crucial is it for your kids to be connected to their indigenous selves as part of them growing up in the incoming Aotearoa?
Yeah, I think it's critical. I think it's critical, and the further we go along, and it's part of the journey of Ma'au, was that we're becoming increasingly difficult, particularly for us. So many generations on, and we're starting to migrate away from some of those to like our traditional churches that were our language or hubs. It's becoming really difficult to maintain and practice and surround our kids with the language and the things that remind them of who they are, and use that underpin our thinking and our way of life as so I think it is critical, and it's going to take a lot of innovative thought from all of us to think of ways that we can surround our kids with
Mm,
values, and this is where
yeah, very true. I mean, look, I was just saying before, your children now be part Tongan Samoan, but more of Deborah, and then later on they will have, obviously, they will go on to have their own families, and depending on which race they will choose to be their partners or fall in love with, each version of you, it's going to be sort of like slightly less and less and less, and so having this identity, it's about the only thing you can do in this diasporic world that we live in to make sure that they carry forward with them. Let's talk about Ma'au. Now, I first came across Ma'au when I was looking through some of the updates on the Ministry of Pacific People in terms of the support that it offers. But then when I dug into your story, I found it very fascinating. But from your mouths, tell us a little bit more about Ma'au. We know that it came off because you both wanted to create an environment, a siosio manga for your kids to grow up into that reflects both of you. But I mean, how did it go from passion of, yeah, that's a good idea, darling, to, well, let's really turn this into serious business? Because you are both professionals of other fields at the same time.
Um,
Let's start with Deborah. Why you keep looking at the
so,
boss? Boss, let's start with Oka, you a good island boy, eh? You look to your wife. Deborah, let's start with you, please.
yeah.
well, I wrote the books simply so that I could learn. I couldn't find resources that would structured in a way that helped me to say the sentences that I wanted to say to my new little girl. And so learning Samoan through bath time just came about because it was a conversation that I wanted to have with my little girl. And as she got older and we started to incorporate more sentences and more of the language into her life, we realized there are more families like ours that they don't necessarily have the language base to help them speak our language or their language to their children. And we met with a lot of authors. Sharon Holt, she was really encouraging of what we did. But I want to make special mention of David Riley. We went to Auckland to authors convention, I guess, and we met him and told him our idea, and he was so encouraging of us and how we could do it. And he said, we just need more resources for our Pacific kids. And he got us in touch with his illustrator, Ted Robertson, who was also 100% behind our dream. And from then, having conversations with different people who wanted some help, that was really what got the wheels going. It took a good couple of years for us to find funding. Oka spent hours and hours applying for funding and grants, and we just kept on getting no. And then we were really blessed to get a grant from Ministry of Pacific Peoples. And to be honest, we wouldn't have been able to do it without them. They were really supportive, and they just let us go with our dream. And yeah, that was
that's awesome.
how we.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, you've just elaborated on the reality of the difference between a good idea and an idea. All of them are a good idea, but the one that comes out is the one you literally get off your couch and literally run towards it. It may take a bit of time, but when you really do believe something is worthwhile. But I like the fact that you were talking about how, you needed Samoan to work for you and how you learn, because here's the reality. Sometimes it's not how we teach, it's how people learn. And so some teachers just like, I've taught you so many things. I'm like, yeah, but you're not connecting with the kinetic learning of the people you're talking to. So you may as well talk to my dog. And so for you, Oka, desired outcome for you in terms of not just, because obviously this is a family moment that grew into sharing with other people, but in terms of the kaupapa of Ma'au, what is the desired outcome for you, not just for your family, but people who would be utilizing the resources that you guys are blessed to put out?
I think kind of comes back to the family, which is where the Ma'au was birthed out of. That it connects families, and it connects people who feel a bit out on the margins in their, or beginning in their cultural journey, Pacific cultural journey, that they'll reconnect with their families or find those resources that can help them along their journey and help connect our kids more to their cultural identity. We've talked about how important that is. And so I think that would be the desired outcome, is that we see more families. For us, the picture we have is that we've got multiple generations huddled around our books. And so that there's language, going down generations and coming back up, and there's sharing stories and moments. And that's kind of the picture we have. So that'd be an awesome outcome.
Nice. Now, my
As
last...
well, in our books, in libraries and early learning centers, and as well as in homes.
But that's just it. Deborah was talking about earlier, there's not enough. Hey, you have to think about it, because even though there's 5 million New Zealanders, we are just under 500,000 Pacific Islanders. And then you calculate the percentage of each island and the resources. You put them all together, we are still under-resourced. So things and books and resources like what you guys are putting together, even though it's the desire of a parent's heart, you're blessing the rest of the diaspora. Because of that, and I commend you guys for it. It's funny, Deborah, you were talking about a Samoan language that you can communicate with your kids. This goes into, whenever you ask an islander for the formula of chop suey, you will never ever find one recipe. You know what I mean? Everyone uses a different soy sauce. Some like pork and some like chicken, but you put them all together, they're called chop suey. Growth and future plans for Ma'au, Deborah.
We have written another book, and it is the role of a child within their family and the importance of a child. And so we're looking forward to building the illustrations and getting that printed and published this year. We're looking forward to that. It's a real learning curve for us. I'm a primary school teacher, Oka's a physio, and so we're just learning as we go, learning and making mistakes as we go. And so just wanting to do what we've been given really well with our books and in our future books.
To get them into libraries.
Yeah, we really want to get them into libraries and early childhood centres, for them to be learning resources. Eventually want to build good videos to help people that need support in pronunciation and the vowel blends.
Nice. So it's growing. That's the plan. There's a growth plan.
Right.
Oka, last words from you before I let you two go.
No, just thank you to all our support. Thank you to the prayers and the support from our families, and to like those people who've given us encouragement along the way. And thank you to the likes of yourselves who are getting our story out. Mana whakatai.
Awesome. And the answer is yes. To be the cover page of the new book, to be the face of the movie and the series, it's a yes from me. I don't do these things very regularly, but for the people.
Cowboy.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe a sheep boy. Look, thank you very much to you both. Manuia Lavaleaso, God bless the kaupapa. And we look forward to more stuff from our books. Thank you very much. Manuia Lasso. You are tuning in to 531 PI, bringing Pacific people together. Back into the music we